podcast. In just a minute, you're going to meet Krista Adams, and we're going to talk about a dynamo here and a story that y'all want to hear. Hey, Krista.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad you could make it.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Hello, everybody out there who's listening. Thank you for your time and spending time with us.
Yeah, we are sure to make you laugh. I guarantee you that. Not just me, but Krista, but we make a good pair because she makes me laugh and I laugh. So
You laugh.
yeah, I make her laugh too sometimes. But anyway, okay, so Krista, I know you're a really busy lady, and let me do a little introduction what I know and how much I love Krista and what why she's here and why she's my first podcast person because actually when I first started doing videos, she was my first video person. Do you remember that?
I do remember. Yes, I do remember doing that. Yes, in my younger years.
Yeah, I still have that video and I
Oh,
look at it. Yeah, it makes me laugh every once in a while.
that's
But anyway, that was my first experience with doing a video. Um, so Krista and I met when we both worked at a senior living community in Downers Grove, Illinois during COVID. Okay, so I was the sales and marketing director, and she was the activity director or coordinator or whatever. Was that your title? What
it
was
was
your title?
the one with all the census and everything there. So keeping
What was
all the residents, occupancy and stuff.
okay? And we got to talking one day and found out that we had a ton of things in common. And so we became instant friends. In fact, sometimes it was hard to work because we were having fun together in my
We,
office, right?
we,
Yeah, yeah. And
it
yeah,
was good times.
it was. And we came up with some great ideas on how to help the company. So, but unfortunately, maybe it'll come up in the podcast. We weren't successful in getting them executed because during COVID, everybody was like paranoid and didn't know what to do and couldn't make a decision. It was really ridiculous. And so we had some crazy challenges there. But I do remember uh, when I learned how strong she was when we had to move some furniture around from one apartment to another because the maintenance guy couldn't do it, or he hurt his head or something. He was out. And we had to do that. And
There for a while, right? It
we
was
did that. Yeah. So that's my introduction to this very energetic, high energy, funny, very wise woman who is also a fitness master guru. She is just a ball of fire, and I'm trying to get her to do a YouTube fitness program. And I think you guys will all want to be on it once you get to know her a little bit. So
I definitely have my eyes on that goal. So I think that that's something in the future that you can definitely guarantee to see happen. For
that's
sure.
good. And I was thinking, I was like bending over to help you with this, but you've got Cece. Her daughter used to be a YouTube sensation.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, we need
Now,
to get with her.
now she's barely got time to date. She called us a second ago. She's in her third year at nursing in her nursing programs at Bradley University, and she's in her clinicals right now. So seriously,
Wow.
so
Wow.
her days are tied up with busyness and studying lots.
Well, I bet you we could squeeze a half hour out of her on
Yeah,
Zoom or something. I bet you we can. Yeah. So I forgot about that. I was thinking about that the other day. So I'm going to ask some questions so that Krista can tell you who she is and what she has done in her life. And we're not going to cover it all because we only have so much time. But I decided to have her back again another time, maybe a follow up right after this. But I want her to tell you a little bit about herself because it's very interesting. And the whole purpose of this podcast really is to see how a struggle turned into a blossom tree and how you can live the best life ever by looking at your challenges, facing them, and then having a solution that brings you to an even better life. So that's what Krista represents, and that's what this podcast is about. So Krista, my first question is tell the listeners a little bit about yourself today.
well, my name is Krista, and
I already told them that.
I have I'm here in Illinois, so I'm in these northwest suburbs of Chicago in Illinois. I've been here since 1999. A little bit about me. I'm originally a California girl, so I can tell you a little, I know that's going to be coming up, but a little bit about me and who I am, what I like to do. I'm a faith-filled girl, um, just God-fearing, God-serving, love that I can kind of preach to the masses if they listen about just how good he is to me and has been throughout my life. So I have 4 children. Um, I have one in heaven, so that's 5 children. I have my son Christopher, who's 27, my daughter Arissa, who is 24, my daughter Ciara, who will be 21 shortly in a couple months, and my daughter Olivia, who will be 20 in a couple of months. So yeah, I've raised them to be some pretty amazing people and decent human beings. So I'm very
And yeah, would you guess that she had 5 kids or 4 kids? I mean, we're going to hear about the first one too. But would you guess that? I mean, she doesn't look it, right? I don't think
oh
so.
good.
Uh, okay, what else about you?
So I currently teach fitness. That is like my always been one of the beats to my heart that kind of goes without saying. I love just you get one body, you get one body, and that's what you have. And if you treat it right, it will treat you right. And I've always been like one of those people who, if you can treat your body right, do some exercise, you don't have to go crazy, but you do have to put some work in. It'll repay you and tenfold. I'm a hip replacement recipient, had it done about 10 years ago. I can't say enough about it. It wasn't anything I did. It was something I was born with hip dysplasia and went in. It was changing like a flat tire. It went in, got, came out, went back to work. It was just that easy. So I'm very, very blessed. So a little bit about me. That's just do have a lot of energy, and I just love to embrace the day if best I can. Wake up with a good mood and go to bed hopefully having the same
Well,
positive.
you're leaving something out.
I am.
Yeah, your military background.
Oh, I am a veteran. I did serve in the United States Navy. I went in at, interestingly enough, right out of high school. I spent about a year, almost exactly a year, trying to figure out if I wanted to, what I wanted to do. And my parents were going through a divorce. So that meant the college, any savings for college that was for me, went through divorce attorneys. So I walked into a recruiter's office and said, "Hey, about the service. Let's talk a little bit about that." And he gave me some options on um, what was available in the Navy and what I could do. And so I kind of signed up and I left for boot camp about 5 weeks later. Nobody thought I would join. They were like, "You're not going in the service. Who in your right mind?" And I did. I went in and I can't say enough good stuff about what that did for me, what it showed me. Made me who I was part, one of many things that kind of built who I am. Um, it was 4 years active duty. I went in as a yeoman, which is kind of like an assistant to like administrative work. And I cross-rated over to photojournalism, where I was able to take pictures and write articles. So, and that's kind of where I've as always been an active person, but that's where I really kind of found my drive for fitness
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
started this career in the service.
yeah. And so I have to mention this. Like, how tall are you?
I'm not.
No, she's not, and she was in the Navy.
I was,
And
interestingly enough, I was in
yeah.
the um, first 20 integrated companies, is what they're called when you go to boot camp. And that is what mean integrated male and female. So here's little me, 4 foot 11 and 3/4, running with 6'2" men,
Oh my gosh.
doing the mile and a half in X amount of minutes. Yeah, it was quite interesting. I was wanting to jump in their pockets if they let me,
Uh,
but it
okay.
it
Yeah.
was experience, and I couldn't say enough about it. I did get in trouble a lot for talking, but again, it made me taught me discipline and structure and good. It was really good, and I'm proud to say that I'm a mom of a Navy serving son. So,
Right.
he was inspired by his parents. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
That's awesome. Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I know. I mean, there's so much more that we'll learn about Krista, but you can see she's pretty amazing, and I know she'll be an inspiration to you. So you mentioned that you were born in California. So tell us a little bit about that. Where and you know, tell us a
Born
little bit about your California years.
I was born in the high desert area, so San Bernardino County is where I was born. And after living there, like I said, growing up there, Southern California, and then going through my parents going through a divorce. That when I decided to join the service, I'm like, I'm out of here. And in the service, you get a dream sheet where you get to write down like 3 places that you really want to go. So of course, I wrote Spain, Italy, anywhere overseas. And then I got my orders after a couple of weeks, and I was going right back to Southern California, an hour and a half away from my parents. So
Oh,
the dream sheet was no longer a dream sheet. It was like
oh,
I think they filed it in the recycle bin or something. But I got stationed in Southern California. So I was, which was a blessing. I didn't know it at the moment, but it was a blessing because I was literally an hour and a half away from my family when I was watching some of my shipmates spend hundreds of dollars for airplane fare to go visit their families. I only had a tank of gas. So it was a blessing.
did you ever go anywhere else?
I did end up going to Spain. I did end up going on what we call detachments, where I went to, the Keys in Florida or a base in Washington. But that was it, just in states. And I did get to go overseas to Spain for a week, which was nice.
Yeah. Well, you got to do some travel. That a lot of people
Yeah,
never get to Europe.
it was
That's
never
awesome.
that was the key. I didn't want to go on a boat, but I wanted to be in the Navy, so I was the Air Dale. We were a squadron with jets, so
Ah,
that's attached to.
wow. All right. That's awesome. And so now where you live now is in Illinois. And
Correct.
why don't you tell us a little bit about whatever you feel like telling us about where you live right now? And
Yeah, so how I got here is my ex-husband and I, we met in the service, and that was in California. And then
oh,
we went to Florida. We got stationed in Pensacola area, and we were there for a bit. And then he was from Lombard, Illinois, that's where I'm at. And we moved here after our sons were born. We lost one. One was really sick and premature. Um, but he survived, and we ended up moving where his hometown was in Illinois. So been here since 1999, and don't want to stay here forever. It's not for me, but it's for me now. um, and yeah, I'm just kind of making the best of it, and I think I've done okay here. Met some
no,
amazing.
I never knew that you met your husband in the military.
Yes,
And that's how you end up in Lombard.
that is how I ended up here.
I
This was
love you.
some sort of like bad joke on myself. I wouldn't pick the Midwest with the winters that they have. No,
Yeah, no, no,
never.
but you know what? You're the only woman I know that has a long driveway and goes out there and shovels it.
I
Yeah,
exercise times
I don't get that.
on of snow.
So, the next question is about family, and I know you mentioned your son, your 2 sons, and I know one of them. It happened so that when Chris and I met, I kept telling my sister about this fabulous person that I met at work, and it turned out my sister knew her because she used to be the assistant teacher for Christopher, and so she actually knew Krista, and
Yeah,
that was kind of like it's a small world, right?
very.
But yeah, but I know that you went through a lot with that, and I don't know if you how far apart your children are or anything like that, but tell us a little bit about your first experience and just share with women out there that probably have,
Yeah.
walked
Oh
the
yeah. Let me
yeah.
just. Um, So with my first pregnancy, I'll kind of briefly go through it. I'll take you through as quick as I can. It was it was exciting. We were married for 5 years before we even thought about having children because it's one of those things where you want to make sure you like the person that you're going to start a family with. So I thought I liked it. We did. I was married
Yeah.
for 16 years. I did like it at some point.
Uh, uh,
Um, and we were excited when we decided to try to get pregnant, and we got pregnant, and then we found out shortly after that we have two. There was two for one. So we were extremely excited because we were having twin boys, and we found out we were having boys. And then there was a complication of my pregnancy. I had to go to from Florida. I had to go to a special appointment in Mississippi, of all places, because that was the Air Force hospital that has special perinatologist, which is a specialist in high risk pregnancy. So one day I took off from the gym I was managing, and my pregnant self and my husband at the time, we drove to Mississippi from Florida because it was a fast day drive, not even a day, a couple hours. And we went, I said, as long as I can just go to one of those all you can eat buffets, I'm good. Let's do that. So we went to this appointment, and I had my eyes on this buffet that I was going to have after this appointment. And when I went to this appointment, they said, we have a problem. After they were doing my ultrasound, I said, wait, we only came for this appointment to find out if they were identical or fraternal twins at the time. They were doing this special ultrasound, and they said, well, we have a problem. It's called twin to twin transfusion syndrome. You have
what is
identical.
it called? Say that again.
It's called twin to twin transfusion syndrome. So what happens in that is the umbilical cord that the identical twins share has some sort of deformity in it, to where one twin is getting more nutrients but can't give back to the twin the shared amount. So in essence, one is receiving more, and the donor can't get back what it's sharing. So I was on the ultrasound table, like, okay, what does that mean? What are we doing? And they said, well, you have to stay. And I'm like, but I was going to go to a buffet. What? Um, they said, no, you're going to stay here, and we're going to do an amniocentesis. I said, I'm 26 years old. What are you talking about? Um, that's for old people when you get an amniocentesis, is so I thought. But no, in the duration of the remainder weeks that I was pregnant, which was only after that time, 7 more weeks I was pregnant. I had 8 amniocentesis. They were called reduction amnios, where they pulled fluid off of my son Anthony's. They pulled it from Christopher's sac to release the pressure off Anthony. So, yeah, I was in the hospital, and after 7 weeks of being on bed rest in the hospital, did I mention I managed a gym at the time and I was running miles in the morning? Yeah, that
No.
happened. I was on bed rest for 7 weeks. 7 weeks in a bed, barely moving, just to keep my kids alive and do the best I can. And then on January 25th, 1999, a specialist flew in from New York. She was a neonatologist, and she came in and said, we have to deliver your boys today.
Mm.
And that was a scary moment.
Wow, yeah.
But they did.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so they were born. Christopher was 2 pounds and
Wow.
14 ounces. But Anthony lived for 3 days, and Christopher is my 27-year-old miracle.
Yes, yeah. He is a miracle.
So,
Oh.
yeah, I was on bed rest until that day. And then Anthony passed away 3 days later, and Christopher was discharged from the hospital about 4 months after.
Wow. Down in Mississippi, did you have to stay down there?
I
Or you,
had, yeah, we stayed at what was such a blessing. What they called the Ronald McDonald House in the in the military world. The Fisher family had opened up what was called the Fisher House right next door to the hospital.
oh,
That's where I
wow.
stayed, waiting for Christopher to grow.
Yeah.
Get
Oh, wow.
how, you pray for weight gain. That's the only time you pray for weight gain on a baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was my experience with Florida, and my first mommyhood experience, if you will. And but that didn't that didn't steer me away from wanting to have more.
Yeah. No, you had three
Yeah.
more, four
Uh,
more,
I
three
had a
more.
miscarriage in
Yeah.
between Christopher, my second pregnancy, my third pregnancy, which is Arissa. Um, and Arissa was born. She started out as a twin pregnancy, ironically too. But my doctor, who at the time said, "Don't get excited because the second egg that we see doesn't seem that viable." So after 8 weeks, I went back, and he said, "I only see one." I said, "Okay, well, whatever. We'll take what God gives us." And he gave us Arissa. Arissa, who again, I thought I was a tomboy. I thought I would be throwing footballs with all of my kids, and then somebody throws a girl at me, and I'm like, what am I going to do to the pink? I have to go to the pink side of the child's clothing, and, and I couldn't be more blessed. She was fabulous. She was a healthy pregnancy, and she was born on time. I got to pick that birth date, and so she was born almost 3 years to the day later than Christopher. And then some people would say, "You want to stop there?" No, I went on to want another one, and
Uh-huh.
after a few years, I got pregnant again with Ciara, and that pregnancy turned out very interestingly enough. Again, I can probably write a book about pregnancy.
Yeah.
She started out as when I went to the doctor. And I wasn't, believe me, pregnancy was not easy to come by for me. I was having a lot of struggle trying to get pregnant. But when I finally did with this one, I went to a fertility clinic just to find out what was going on with my body and why wasn't I not getting pregnant. And that's when I found out I was pregnant
Oh, wow.
with, and the doctor said, "Oh, you are pregnant." And I said, "Oh, I came here to find out why I'm not pregnant." She's like, "But you are pregnant." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I was about 3.5 weeks pregnant at the time. And that was interesting. When I went to my doctor a couple weeks later, they had, because I was considered high risk with a lot of my history, they did a blood test. They said I was alpha fetoprotein positive. I had no idea what that meant, but that meant that I have a Down syndrome possible baby, which my Ciara would have been.
Oh,
Um,
that's crazy knowing Ciara. Oh my gosh.
Now, if you know Ciara,
Yeah.
is out of all four of my children, she's the one who absolutely is academically stellar and always loves school. Smart,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. You
obviously,
can't trust the doctors. That's what I say. So
yeah, they were wrong. I
yeah.
ended up with a specialized ultrasound after a week of thinking that that might be something, my fate, and they confirmed that that was a false positive.
Oh, wow.
And then out comes the biggest out of all of my children, 8 pounds 8 ounces, and again, I'm 4 foot, not even 5 foot, barely, on a good day with some shoes. But she was eight and a half pounds and 20 inches long. Again, I remind you, I'm not 60 inches, so she was a long feet for this little
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
And then when I had just mentioned, I took a long time for me to get pregnant, and then next thing you know, I think I might have went for a 6 week. I'm good to go. Everything's good. And then I got pregnant again immediately with
Oh,
Olivia.
wow.
So my
Wow.
two children are about 10 and a half months apart. They
Wow.
are both the same age for a good 4 weeks throughout the year.
Wow.
It's always
And
interesting.
how was you pregnant with Olivia?
That was a great pregnancy. Again, I just kind of rolled into my maternity wardrobe that I've been wearing. So it was like an elephant. I was pregnant for almost 2 years. It was really interesting. But I felt good. Had a baby and a baby inside me. It was really interesting. It was
Wow.
great. And for those people who understand pregnancy Alzheimer's or brain fog, I was foggy for 2 years and raising kids. It was very interesting. But I can't say enough about it. I loved being pregnant. I'm truly blessed. And I did ask when I went for my I think I was like in my early part of my pregnancy, I asked my physician, "Can you please tie my tubes?" He goes, "Not until you deliver." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, make sure I just don't want anything to happen after." I was very thankful. I had exactly what God had blessed me with. They weren't easy to come by, but they were such a joy, such a joy, such a testimony.
So, I know that usually, and I know for me it was this way. I came from a big Italian family that was close. We always had help whenever we had a baby, but here you are in Mississippi. Your family's in California. I don't know what your husband was like, but how did you do it on your own? Like, were you by yourself, or did you have
Yeah.
any support?
Nope.
Hmm.
So in Florida, when we lived in Mississippi and Christopher was growing in the hospital, as soon as he got discharged in April, after we went back to Pensacola for about a week, and then we literally packed up the house and moved to Lombard, Illinois.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I moved to Lombard, Illinois. Christopher was on oxygen. So in my house that we got here, I had an oxygen tank with tubes that ran all over with me and this little tiny baby. No, I didn't. I mean, you just kind of figure it out. You just kind of figure it out on the daily. You just kind of keep going, vacuuming, making sure you're not vacuuming up oxygen tube while you're, but you just kind of go with it. I when you have your family live so far away, it's really hard for them to come out and help and kind of stay. And it was
Yeah.
just complicated. So I'm very thankful that I was able to do it, just handle it.
Did you ever cry?
A lot of prayer.
Did you ever like sit down and cry?
Um, nope. I just,
Just kept going, huh?
yeah, I just kept going. That's been my life. Just keep on going like the little engine that could and did.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Or like what's it? That movie with just keep swimming.
Let's keep Nemo, Dory.
Nemo. Yep. Just keep swimming.
Just
I
keep
always remember
it.
that one. I want to stop
Just
swimming.
gotta keep it. Otherwise, you're gonna drown.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
That
just swimming,
yeah.
and
That's amazing.
that's what I.
Amazing. Yeah. 4 kids, 5 kids really, because you had to bury one. And on 4 kids by yourself. How was your husband? Did he help at all?
He was helpful for the moment, but he was working. So and I was working the as much as I could. I was babysitting somebody else's kid at the time. So that's what I was able to do at the moment. And then as they got a little bigger, I would teach fitness while my husband was also working. And then, yeah, I think it was after our last child. It was about she was 3, almost
Wow.
4, and
Wow.
my ex-husband decided to have a different plan for his life, and so
Yeah.
he did.
Mhm. Yeah.
And, and then
No, okay. Yeah, we know that. That's like a whole podcast for most women. Like I could have like a podcast with 10 women and we could all share stories of abandonment or,
yeah,
or abuse or just not caring, apathetic, or non-commitment. But luckily all men aren't like that. So, it's not the highest percentage of people don't they stay married, not
true,
divorced, but the
true.
divorce it can be devastating for your life. And with 4 children, I know there's a story in that, but we'll save that for later. But I just, wanted to know about the support. It's like here you are, really by yourself
Yep,
and strong enough to say, I've got to do this.
got to do it.
I don't know how you did it, especially the first time. There must have been a lot of trauma involved in there. And then to go on and have, more complications and then have to take care of 4 little kitties all by yourself.
Yeah, yeah. They were 3, 4, 7, and 10 when I started my life as a single mom,
Wow.
and again, I just woke up every day and just did the day. If I went to bed at night with prayers said together, being grateful,
Yeah.
and giving thanks to God, because I don't know how I would have did it. I never knew. I didn't have a career at the time as far as specific. Um, I was just doing the day. So getting the kids to school, participating in their activities. I wasn't getting child support, wasn't getting spousal support. But I was getting blessed. Let me just tell you that. So we had to sell our marital home at some point.
Mhm.
about a year after. Something that we worked really hard on, building this beautiful home for ourselves, and knowing that we couldn't afford it. And I sure as heck couldn't afford it. It had to go up for sale. And yeah, there was a house behind me that we were very close with our neighbors. And uh, our neighbor behind us had just passed away, and the wife had died a couple years earlier. And we were very close with their family. So when my house went up for sale, and knowing that the house behind me was vacant and empty, and I reached out to the daughter-in-law and asked her what she was going to do with Grandpa Joe's house. And she said, I'm not sure. I have no idea. It's still full of their stuff, and I got to empty it, and I don't know. And then she kind of knew that I was inquiring for myself about what she was going to do. And she looked at me and said, "Do you need to stay somewhere?" And I said, "Yeah."
Mm. Yeah.
So she let us stay here and pay her very minimal, whatever I was able to kind of give her for about a year. And it was an easy transitional move because I had a lot of great friends that threw everything over the fence, from the chain link fence, so my marital home is literally right behind the house that I have. So
No moving truck. That was
it
great.
was a really easy move. And I had a lot of great fitness participants that became movers. I'm like, this is the workout. So it was great. And we came here, and then after about a year and a half or so living here, she, meaning the daughter-in-law, had asked what if I had a plan, if I wanted to purchase the house. She wanted to get her name off of it. And I had just literally started working for a company just for a month or two, maybe. And I said, I would love to buy the house. I don't know how I could buy the house, but I just started working for a company that's like a 9 to 5 job, reputable company. Um, and I had a friend from church who inquired about a loan. They said you might be able to get approved for a loan if you have 6 months verifiable income. And I said, I'll see you in 5 months.
Oh, wow.
5 months, I was able to apply for a loan, and I
Wow.
was able to purchase the house that we were living in for my children. And who would have thunk? Never in a million years would I ever even imagine that I could be a homeowner with 4 children, not making a whole lot, but I did it. And it was
Yeah.
all by the grace of God and a lot of just prayer. And
Yeah. A lot of little miracles. A lot of miracles happen with that house. And it's still a great house.
oh, it's great. I've been able to do a lot with it. I've been able to do a lot with it. I'm a saver, so I saved up. I have 4 children that were very young, and 3 girls and a boy. So this was a 3 bedroom house to start with, which 3 girls in one small bedroom. Not that we can't live like that, but it wasn't wonderful. They were kind of like they needed some space, and my son had his own room, so I saved and saved and saved and worked and worked and worked, and I worked as much extra as I possibly can teaching fitness outside my regular job. And I saved enough money to refinish the entire basement downstairs and make 2 bedrooms and a big giant bathroom and a family room for the family and the kids. So I was very thankful. And then saved and worked and saved and worked and saved and worked. And, 3 or 4 years that I redid the entire first floor just to make it mine. And I couldn't be more happy, couldn't be more proud.
Well,
So
I tell you, living in a small room is okay. I shared a room the size of a walk-in closet today with 2 bunk beds. And my 2 sisters slept on the top and I slept on the bottom.
no kidding.
Yeah, and the reason that I didn't sleep on the top and they slept on the bottom is because I was kind of a nervous kid. Once in a while, I just wouldn't get up to go to the bathroom, so I went with it. So my mother did not want that dripping down onto my sisters, so she put me on the bottom. And the only thing we had in there was a dresser, one dresser, and one of those metal closets. And the
Yes,
closet, that's all it fit. And then a little bitty space that we could walk, getting in and out. That was it.
that's
Yeah,
it.
it did have a window, But you know what? Nobody knows any better. It's the parent knows better, and so you want better for your kids. But basically, we didn't know any better, and it really, whenever I go see a big house, if I'm doing a real estate walk or something, I look and I go, that was the size of my bedroom when I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
growing. You know? Yeah. So your kids got blessed. I mean, they didn't have to do that for too long because mom sacrificed a lot. Wow.
I was very, very thankful and grateful that I was able to give, you know, the two youngest shared a room and their whole lives. But I was able to give Arissa her own space, and my son had his own room too. Um, and I
Yeah.
was so for it, and it just makes my house worth that much more.
That's right. It does. Yeah,
So
it's a nice house. When you're ready to go, you'll do good with that house for sure. It's going to be like amazing.
I'm very thankful, very thankful. When I didn't think I had anything, God said, "You do have something," and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
thing.
And I don't know if anybody notices, but while Chris is talking, one of the things, she's just the perfect person to start this best like a life ever because she's got an incredible positive attitude. And all the things that she went through, she somehow managed to always go to prayer and always overcome and just keep going. And she still keeps going. Now she's an empty nester, right? All your kids are out of the house.
Who would have thunk?
I
I
know.
I never thought my house could be so quiet. I usually am blasting K-Love nowadays. But yeah, I'm an empty nester. So I'm rolling solo, trying to figure out what those next steps look like. And you know, counting on the Lord to just kind of keep directing me and putting that wisdom in my head of what his plans are and where he wants me to go next. So I'm listening, trying to be obedient and patient. Patient is difficult.
Yeah.
Obedient, I'll do. Patience.
Well, yeah, especially and you are right now going through a transition, but I want to ask you, since you left high school and went right to the military, you didn't go to college. But I learned the other day, and this girl, she just stays humble about all the fitness certificates that you have that make you
Yeah.
a
So
master fitness person. Yeah. So tell us
I
about that.
I'm so thankful that I did fall in love with something that is so important to me and really kind of plays on my heartstrings and benefits people's health. Um, yeah, so I'm a fitness specialist in many aspects of the term and the title. Um, I've done many things in my career in teaching fitness. I will totally age myself when I say I've been teaching fitness for a good part of 24, almost 25 years. Um, and I love it. And I've done everything from boot camp. I've taught kickbox. I've
Ah,
specialized in senior fitness for the um, active aging population. Love that population. They don't argue with me too much.
ah,
Um, I've done special recreation. That's for children with Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, so on and so forth. I've done retired veterans. So I have a lot of fitness under my belt when it comes to just who I can kind of serve and where my love for it goes. Because no matter the class I'm teaching, no matter the format that comes with it, my passion and my love just shines through no matter what it could be. It could be a 5:30 a.m. class or hopefully not a 5:30 p.m. class. I don't like that class anymore at that time because I'm in
yeah,
jammies at the moment. But I do like that morning, get it early, wake up early, workout because if you do it before your brain figures out what your body's up to, it knows no better. So
yes.
I'm all about that. But yeah, I definitely have gotten many a different certifications and attended many conferences. So the wall is heavy with certifications, and I just love that. I love that. And COVID was extremely hard when it came to doing that fitness. I was at a specific continuing care facility at managing the health and wellness center there when COVID hit, and so I had to go live on. They put cameras all
Oh,
around the place.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was at Marion Village. I was there, and
Mhm.
that's when they installed cameras, and I guess I that's when all of that home fitness started. So I had a couple clients in Tennessee that I was personal training over Zoom. Um, but yeah, that's I still love it. I still teach every a few classes a day. Just had 3 today. Obviously, I'm dressed for that. Um, and yeah, it's definitely my thing, and I think it
Yeah,
will be forever, indefinitely. I feel
yeah,
better when I do something to help other people figure out how good health and wellness. Health is wealth. You get one.
yes, yeah. Krista inspires me. And can you imagine like being in a class with Krista? She's like so full of energy and happiness. You can't help but smile. And I know her clients love her. And if she can't go, they complain a lot, right? They miss
Yes.
you.
If I do not like to miss because I know they miss me. And I'm
Yeah,
thinking when at the end of the day or end of a class when they say, "God, that went by so fast. You make it
yeah,
fun." I'm like, they're nuts. But that's a good
yeah.
don't make it
Yeah.
seem like exercise. I said, "Well, that's great. It's like a party. Let's call it a party."
Well, I'll tell you, I used to call Krista or talk to Krista, and she'd be telling me all the exercise she did or what she did. Or sometimes, believe it or not, she's the only woman I know that can talk on the phone and do treadmill. I can't do that. She could do that. She talks on
That's
the phone.
years of
So
practice. That's
it's
years of
very impressive. But
called
a
cardio
lot of times,
endurance. It helps me with my teaching too, taking the
oh,
breath, breathing.
okay, sure. All right. Uh-huh. I couldn't do that. But then the other thing that she would do, I'd be calling her and she'd go, I'm doing my walk. I'm only going to walk 5 miles today. I'm walking around the pond and the ducks are all over here. And she's just going on and on every day, sometimes twice a day.
Yes.
And the last maybe 4 years or since COVID, I used to be really active. And, for my age, I'm not in bad shape, but I'm not in good shape to my standards. And so I would be listening to her, and I'd always sit there and I think, I wish I could do that. I mean, for 4 years, right? I'm like, I should do that.
And
And then maybe I'd run to the exercise gym once, but then I'd go home, and I just had heavy heart. I was like, I just can't do it. Well, so this year or December, I started to go back into exercising, and I couldn't wait to tell Krista. I couldn't wait to tell her. And so every day I've been doing like some Tai Chi and some other again on YouTube, which I'm going to replace by Krista once she gets her YouTube channel. But I am having so much fun, and I always say, weight wise, I'm not bad, but I have the love handles and I have nobody holding them. So there's just no reason to keep them at all. So
no,
I no, so I need to get rid of them. And little by little, they're kind of going away.
you're
And it
back.
seems like, yeah, I'm not necessarily losing weight, but I'm thinning out, and I noticed
You're,
that
re-
my
you're repositioning it.
yeah, my gills are gone. They don't seem to be there so much in the back, the fish gills.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm still though not be, and my waist is still a little bit too wide for me. But I'm working on it, and Krista does motivate me and inspire me. And when I don't feel inspired, I call her and say I didn't exercise today, so she could tell me, yeah, you need to do
The day's
that.
over. The day's not over. Keep going.
Well, I did it just before we got on.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's not a good time to do it. I like to do it in the morning.
Me too.
But you'll love this. I just went and met with this young woman that I met at a networking, darling. Okay. And I went to Bona Beef here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Yum.
Bona Beef here. That's the
Mm.
only franchise they had. I found out it's the only one. This is the first one, and they moved to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So I get to have my Italian beef and my Chicago hot dog if I want. I got to drive 21 miles,
That's
so I'm
right.
not going to be there all the time. So don't worry. But I did get to have a beef sandwich, and I was very happy about that. And then I thought I'm going to go home and exercise. Let me tell you what it's like to exercise with a bone of beef in your tummy. Okay,
Probably
no.
not the funnest. Oh no.
No, it wasn't fun, but I did it. I did.
That's
I got in 30 minutes, and I feel happy. So
that's wonderful. That's
yeah.
see, that's good. Sometimes you have to
Thank
just
you,
a little bit.
thank you.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
makes you feel a lot much better.
thanks to Krista. So yes. So the last question I have for you this time is about being single. So that's another thing that Krista and I have in common. We're totally age wise. If you're dyslexic, I'm the same. Well, no, she's still younger than me. She's She could actually be my daughter, and but we're just really good friends. And she is also a single lady.
I
She's
am.
had she's had some relationships, but she's such a dynamo. I don't know whoever does end up with her if she decides to get married again or have a partner. She has got to be somebody that's really on top of things. So you don't have to share too much, but I would like to know a little bit about how you're doing as a single woman. How you're the whole thing is just people going to be watching this that maybe just got divorced
Sure. Sure.
or
Well,
lost their
because you
spouse and
doesn't mean your
yeah.
life is over. Um, and yeah, my focus was my children and always has been my children. They didn't choose the divorce. I didn't choose the divorce. But I wanted to make sure I was there for them the entirety of their lives for whatever that looked like. I was the integral role for them, for support, for family, for just home. Um, and so it was really kind of difficult for me to kind of share anything else of me with anyone else while my children were yet little. There was somebody specific who kind of came in at the latter part of their lives in at home. And we spent a good amount of time together, a good 7 years, 8 years almost, together, and that didn't pan out at wrong time, maybe wrong person. I don't know. It's really hard to juggle a relationship and a family if the relationship is not the dad. It's kind of hard. I just kind of looked to the Lord and I trusted what His plan is for me, and the kids come first over everything and anything. And I made that decision to make sure that I was they were priority, because I wasn't married. So
Mhm.
if you are married and you do go into enter that covenant, then that flips, right? You husband, child, God, husband, child. Um, but because that wasn't the case, it was child.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I'm a single girl, and I'm in a good place. I'm thankful because I know I'm not dead, and I know God's plans for me.
Not at all.
I know
No.
God's plans are good, and if and when the time is right, that He finds somebody special for me who's got to have a good relationship with the Lord first,
Mhm.
and then with me, that'll be great. But
Yeah.
until then, I'm just kind of doing what I do, um, and waiting for whatever the next step that He directs me in.
Yeah. I think personally I'm divorced and I think it's very complicated for the kids and the mom. I was like you, I was the single mom. I was the parent, both parents
Yeah,
in those cases. And I mean, my second child had a more active father on weekends and everything, but really I was the one who made the decisions and stuff. I think that the kids already have enough to deal with when their parents are divorced.
yeah,
And then you add somebody on, and that person has got to be pretty flexible to want those kids to be their own. And I also think that there's this blended family um, stigma that you have to work at every day until they're grown up.
right.
But I've heard some crazy, wonderful stories about people that got divorced and the person that they married, the man or woman, end up being a stronger parent than their actual parent.
Wow,
But
yeah,
not always. And it just I think kids go through so much. I watch my grandkids right now, they're adults and their parents got divorced, and I see the complexity of all that. And it's to me, it's heartbreaking sometimes,
yeah, can be.
because their relationships are now different with both their mom and their dad, and that both of them, both their mom and dad got remarried. So they have to work through that. Luckily, they're adults and they can, process things each day on their own. But it's still complicated. I don't care what anybody says. It was complicated for me with my boys. Um, I didn't have real active fathers, and so that meant that I was the alpha parent. But there was complications with that when the kids misbehaved and stuff. My dad helped me a lot. My dad actually was like their parent. So they had a father grandfather, you
Yeah,
know.
great.
So but with you, you had a guy around the corner who, just moved on.
Yeah.
But yes.
I
Yeah,
mean, for somebody, we were married 16 years, and then yeah, he just kind of taken on a different persona and a different life, and got remarried, and she had 4 children herself. So he kind of tended to that family for
right.
the and I get it. Just kind of raising again. I was their security. I was their home, and I continue to be. And it's not an easy juggle. So
No, our kids never know. This is what I learned at the age I'm at. My kids are grown, but they'll never, never know the sacrifice that we go through
no.
in order to keep some sort of balance in their life as a divorced child.
Hmm.
And they'll never know unless they, go through it themselves the exact same way, which don't half the time they don't. And some kids appreciate, some don't. Some stay like they appreciate their parents. Other like, oh, I'm just so disgusted with my mom because she's doing. I'm so disgusted with my dad. And it's kind of sad. I don't know if there's a fix for that. To be honest with, divorce is not supposed to be a part of our lives, but
No.
it is. So
Right.
yeah. But
Yeah.
so I think we have a few more minutes, and I want to talk to you about. Well, I'm going to skip the career thing because we're going to do that next time because
Okay.
that's going to be a lot of fun. So I want you to tell me what is your one of your greatest accomplishments, and that's how we'll end.
My greatest accomplishment, one of my greatest accomplishments, geez, I'm not sure. I would probably say my kids because that's probably I've given them more of the most of me. And I know that wasn't really like an accomplishment, like I can hang that on the wall, but I can sit here and be thankful that and know that like if something was to happen to them, that they're going to go to heaven, and
Yeah,
that's big.
that is big. You could ask for nothing else.
Yeah, that's a big accomplishment is keeping that God centered as they
Mhm.
grew up.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
there's nothing like when your kids call you in their adult lives and say, Mom, can you pray with me? Or can you pray for me for this
Mhm.
exam or for this hard day? Um, so at the end of the day, like the accomplishment, it might not be something that I'm hanging on the wall, but it's something that I know in my heart, and
That's
that's
the most important.
that's
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah. So, yes. So I would say that you're amazing, and we're gonna pick this up if you don't mind,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
next time, another week, and we'll talk about like your career and your present situation, what you're doing, and maybe anything else that you might want to add that will help other women or even men. I started this saying I've got a whole line of great women. I do. I've got some amazing women lined up. But I do maybe have a guy too that I can. It's not just about women, but it's the women that I've met that have these incredible um, overcoming stories that just blow me away.
I
Like yours. And
tell my children a lot, and I still tell them to this day. There's a couple things that I reiterate almost more often than not, as just because things are difficult doesn't mean they're impossible,
Mhm.
and it's something that we've lived by. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it can't be done.
Yep.
Any scriptures in the Bible back that up. So um, God is more than able to do more than we can ever imagine. So you just keep looking towards Him and keeping your faith, keeping your just your positive attitude, and it gets you far. I mean, I did not ever know what the next day brought, but I knew that somebody was already there,
Yeah.
and that was enough for me. And just like the kids, they knew that I was there too, so
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
enough. So it kind of piggybacks for them to be able to witness my faith and see that and where that gets you. Um, it's a good thing. So that was probably one of my greatest accomplishments since raising, some kids that truly trust in the Lord and know that that's where they put their faith.
And that is most perfect way to end this podcast. So, Krista, thank you.
You
Thanks
bet.
for taking time. And I know that a lot of people are going to want to come back because they're going to want to know all the other things you do. So, be prepared. Thank you so much. All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you for having me, and thank you all for listening. I hope you have a phenomenal day and a blessed week. Take care.
Yes. All right. See you next time. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.